The British girl with the beautiful face made her first big splash as a conniving vixen on General Hospital.
She was not one of the good guys. I don't need you here. She was really cheeky and naughty and devious.
First time Luke saw Holly, she was wet, her hair was hanging straight, and she was gorgeous. Gorgeous.
She went from daytime soap success to the primetime spotlight, becoming one of the most recognized faces of the 80s.
She brought an audience to the show that probably hadn't been there before because she was, you know, a big, popular character on General Hospital.
There was a huge difference in the level of attention from the press.
Although she's remembered as an 80s icon, Emma Samms is more than just a TV diva. A tragedy left its mark.
And I remember the very last time I saw him when he was at home. He looked so unwell and he was in such pain. He had wounds that wouldn't heal. It was just awful.
And launched her on a lifelong mission. Now the journey of a woman who is healing her heart by touching the lives of others. This is Lifetime's intimate portrait of Emma Samms. Hosted by Meredith Vieira.
I've been a fan of Emma Samms ever since her days as Holly Sutton on General Hospital and later as Fallon Carrington on Dynasty. You know, the Brits can play those divas better than anyone. And like everyone else, I always think that stars are immune from tragedy. So I had no idea that Emma had lost a brother at a very young age. It turns out not only did she lose her brother, she almost lost herself to a severe depression. But as you'll see tonight, by giving dying children something she was unable to give her brother, Emma Samms found a way back to herself. And you know what they say, everything that goes around comes around. This is her story, her words.
During the 1980s, Emma Samms played the deviously spoiled Fallon Carrington on the nighttime soap sensation Dynasty.
Dynasty epitomized the 80s. The me generation had the program they wanted to see. It was about very selfish, silly people, really, who were miserable.
She and her castmates were part of an American institution that glued an estimated 80 million viewers a week to their TVs.
It went from sort of being the, you know, the me generation to the me generation, and I think Dynasty was on the vanguard of all of that.
But don't confuse her roles with the real Emma.
One of the things that makes Emma so amazingly beautiful is not only her physical beauty, but the fact that she's almost self-effacing about it. She has no guile. She's completely genuine, and her beauty shines from within.
Emma's character was shaped by a painful loss that her well-to-do parents couldn't protect her from. She was born outside of London, England, in August of 1960. Her father ran a movie lighting company, and her mother was a ballet dancer. It was a childhood filled with love, laughter, and privilege for Emma and her three siblings, Louise, Jamie, and Richard.
My parents were wonderful parents. We never had any doubt for a moment that we were loved very, very much. Emma was like a little doll. She was always very cute. There was always something very, very special about her, and it was obvious from the very, very first. She had, you know, what they call star quality, I'm sure.
My parents were wonderful about exposing us to all sorts of different things. They took us to the theatre, to grown-up parties sometimes.
Emma's father took the family on trips abroad to places like Portugal, Mexico, and the United States.
We were expected to conduct ourselves with good manners, and we did. We were all very good children, actually. In retrospect, we were extremely well-mannered. My father was the most generous, caring, inspirational person. My mother was devoted to us as children and so kind and fun. It's the best possible way to raise your children.
Emma inherited her mother's talent for ballet. She entered the prestigious Royal Ballet School at White Lodge at the age of 6 and began rigorous training.
The children who come in all have a lot of promise and potential. And because Emma was very petite, she was a very delicate, very light, very pretty dancer. Pretty and musical, really a joy to watch.
I never imagined doing anything else other than being a ballet dancer. I so enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the sensation of dancing, of interpreting the music, and just the feeling of dancing was a very nice one for me.
We did a ballet display, and she, even though she was technically in the year below, she would be brought in to be the sort of star of the next year up's dance that they did. It was always very obvious that there was something special.
But in between the good times, a tragedy occurred in 9-year-old Emma's life. Her little brother Jamie was diagnosed with a serious blood disorder called aplastic anemia.
Jamie was a year and a bit younger than me. He was unbelievably smart. He could play chess when he was 5. Tried to teach me, and I didn't have a clue. He was the top of his class academically. He had this blonde hair, cherubic face. He was lovely. He was a lovely boy.
Emma was tested to see if she could be a bone marrow donor. Unfortunately, she wasn't the right match.
I remember the very last time I saw him when he was at home. He looked so unwell and he was in such pain. He had wounds that wouldn't heal. And those were it was just awful. But still you didn't think that your brother could die. I mean, that's just not something that crosses your mind.
On December 20th, less than a year after he contracted the disease, Jamie passed away. Emma felt powerless that she couldn't help her brother, but someday her desire to help other sick children would change the lives of thousands.
Emma was always the one who looked after the rest of us and would worry more about how we all were. She was always the one who would be the little mother and make sure that we were all right.
My role in the family was to sort of take care of things. And I think that's fairly standard for a second child, apparently. And so I would make cups of tea for my mother. Well, I tried to be a big brother to my brother Richard, yes. That's the sort of thing that I did. But it wasn't enough, clearly, and I knew it wasn't enough.
Emma was learning life's lessons fast.
Losing my brother made me not afraid of dying, which is a fantastic thing. It's a real gift. Because I have always known, ever since I heard that he had died, I have always known that he was all right. Though I missed him, my grief was for my parents and what they were going through. For me, it's affected my whole life because you don't take things for granted when you've lost a sibling. All that sort of cozy, everything's going to be fine feeling that people grow up with, or should grow up with, I didn't have that. Despite having fantastic family, I still didn't have that sort of peacefulness and security of just big picture things that you should have as a child.
A few years after Jamie's death, her mother had another baby, and Emma pitched in to help raise little Ben. Emma also threw herself into her ballet, determined to be the best. But at 16 years old, Emma faced her first professional setback when she injured her hip and developed bursitis. The pain wouldn't go away.
It's really horrible to be injured. You feel extremely depressed. You have to sit and watch other people doing what you want to do and what you want to strive for, and you're denied this possibility.
After she spent a year on the sidelines, the bursitis had barely improved. Emma had to face the reality that she would never dance professionally.
Of course, it was extremely upsetting. I had been aware that by being at the Royal Ballet School, I was special. So to think of something else to do was not easy at all.
Having to give up your chosen career, really through no fault of your own, this particular thing that happened to Emma is really devastating.
With dreams of dancing behind her, Emma began thinking about what she wanted to do with her future.